In a school filled with so much spirit, it is easy to forget that there is room for improvement. Because there are so many students who are active in the school community, participating in sports and music, cheering on their fellow Greyhounds, or simply coming to school every morning, it can be hard to realize that everyone has a life outside of school. For some, difficult experiences at school can make that outside life even harder. In order to nurture a true Greyhound family, we need to be aware of issues in our school system that are negatively affecting our peers. We are aware that problems take time to get better. We also acknowledge that to us, it may seem that 4 years is not enough time to make a positive change in our school district with so many problems. But we ask you to be students for the future. We are committed to ensuring a better climate and education by seeking justice for ourselves and for students of the future.
We can never be content because to be content is not to be aware of the issues we have. So am I pleased with the progress? In all honesty, no. I think that as a culture and as a society, and then bringing it down to where we are now as a school community, that we have a lot of work ahead of us to make sure that all of our kids feel welcome, involved, accepted, and integrated into whether it's an activity or our classrooms. So no, I think we have a lot of work to do.
I feel a lot of kids just kind of live in their own bubble if they're not part of the minority in any way, if they're just the status. A lot of people just don't see it. Even I talk to my friends about just different aspects of like what I go through every day, and they just don't understand it.
You know, we live in a world that's made up of very different kinds of people. In this building and in other buildings that I've worked in, there are groups of people that practically have no contact with each other at all, even though they see each other and pass each other by on a daily basis. You know, if that's what the rest of the world is going to be like in the future, where you have entire groups of people who are like, you know, face to face every day, and there's no communication, there's no basically contact that exists, you're going to have some like real misunderstandings about what it is that people mean when they say or when they do something that you're not familiar with.
Because you can think of a bunch of stereotypes about one person before you even like hear them speak, you know? And I believe that once you actually get to know someone, stereotypes like they just go out the door. I believe that if you don't understand something, ignorance happens, and then out of ignorance come like hatred or fear, and I believe that comes out of stuff like that.
What does diversity mean to you?
I can't do this.
Diversity is... wow.
What do I think of that?
I think diversity is a healthy thing.
Diversity is people getting along, even though they're of all different ethnic groups and races and cultures.
I'd say diversity is an acceptance of difference.
As a school, are we doing our best to celebrate our diversity, or even to recognize our diversity? Or are we just doing okay? It is essential to acknowledge each other and our differences, not to ignore them. We are Greyhounds who are white, who are black, who are Asian, who are Native American, who are Muslim, who are Christian, who are Jewish, who are atheist, who are gay, who are bisexual, who are transgender, who are straight, who are rich, who are poor, who are mentally handicapped, who are disabled. There are students who do not feel welcome in a school where it seems that the majority has no care for the minority. Have we made ourselves into an exclusive family? Do you have to be born a certain way to be a member of the Greyhound family?
There's kids from all over Duluth. There are people from a lot of different races, a lot of different backgrounds who have different values and everything, and I think they're all in this one big mix.
I believe we have a mix of students here, but I think since Duluth is mostly Caucasian, that most of East is white people.
I think East is not nearly as diverse as some schools, but it does have diversity. There are different cultures, there are different races, there are different ethnic backgrounds, there are different religions. So there's diversity here. Is it as broad as other places? No.
Diversity is not a very powerful word for me. You know, diversity means that things are different. That's not particularly important to me. What's important to me is that, you know, people's differences are accepted and celebrated, not just tolerated, but accepted, celebrated, and honored. That's what matters to me.
When we don't celebrate our differences or even acknowledge each other, we create groups and cut ourselves off from one another. It is impossible to work together with anyone when you can't break out of your comfort zone.
I feel like maybe it might be a little hard to, like, if you're new to the school or something when you come in, because I feel like sometimes East has like some cliques and groups and they like hang out so much together that they don't really include people in their groups as much.
There are cliques for sure. Not just like, not even within grades or anything, like even throughout the whole school there's like certain cliques that not everybody fits into, you know?
Everyone's just like, everyone has what they like. Everyone has their own way and they stick with that. They're afraid to get out of their bubble.
Segregation is an issue, a large issue. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to separate a crowd in our lunchroom by skin color, or even in the hallways?
Certain group of like the hockey players, and then you have like the dance girls that hang with the hockey players, and then you have the Hicks or whatever, and then it's like a group of African American kids that hang with each other. I mean, like, if we can all just be like, you know, one big group, I mean, I think it'll make things better.
I kind of see people of different racial groups like hanging out together, and I usually don't really see them like talking with people of other groups.
Do you feel on the basketball team there's a segregation between?
No, not at all. Not at all. I feel like we're just one family. And I feel very comfortable around everyone on the team, and it's great.
The school needs to come together more and become a team of its own, welcoming everyone, no matter their background, skin color, etc. A team supports each other during its rough times and celebrates the triumphs together. A team builds each other up. Individuals are celebrated for their personal accomplishments and strengths. Teammates help each other that are struggling, encouraging them to confront their problems to make them an overall stronger teammate. In order for a team to function, there has to be trust, honesty, and respect for one another. In order for East to function, we need to work as a team and show the same respect that can be found on the court.
It's hard sometimes because when I'm walking down the hallways, I hear things, you know, like I hear people going, oh, well, blah, blah, people don't say that to the ghetto kids, or, you know, like, oh, I don't like those type of people because they're this and they're that, they're black, they're, you know, we're not all the same. So. I used to feel uncomfortable, but now I'm used to it, because, I mean, it's going to be there. It's going to be talked about, so.
Like, we'll be talking about some horrible acts that have happened on humanity, and people will kind of like slowly turn over to me as if it's something that I have to do with.
That in like 9th grade history class, you know, and they like get to talking about the slavery and stuff. And
yeah.
With only black kids, and you know, you get like, oh, you say something about slavery, you'll get a look and you're like feeling like you're nervous and like, oh, I don't feel comfortable or whatever because you're the only one in there.
They feel discriminated against, not, I wouldn't say a lot, but a little bit each day. Whether it's someone asks you a question about like your future life and they use the word like husband and you say, oh well, that's not really for me, and then they just go like dead silent. Or if it's getting paired up in a group of someone who, for a class project, someone who is not supportive of you and they make it really hard to get things done. Or teachers just being really awkward when you correct them or say something that makes them feel like not comfortable.
Someone has seen me walking with another person who is a minority and thinking that and saying, that's your husband or that's your sister.
Sometimes people can tease you behind your back and you'll never know it, or they'll tease you in front of your face and you won't ever know it. There is a lot of prejudice at East, I've noticed.
I was shopping with my two friends. This is like freshman or sophomore year, and we were at the store and I was like debating like which shirt should I get? Like I don't know, like because like I'd saved up money to go shopping with them. Like we'll just get both. It's not a big deal. I'm like I can't get both. And they were like making fun of me like, oh yeah, you're like Emma's poor. She can't afford to get 2 shirts. And I'm like, no, like I actually can't. Like, but I think that people just they just don't know because they assume that everyone else, you know, can go to Cold Fusion for lunch twice a week or whatever, and like you can't. You know?
We have talked about the issues of segregation and not accepting our differences. We acknowledge that we need to work on understanding each other's differences and educating ourselves on inequalities that affect our classmates. Concrete evidence shows that this lack of understanding and awareness creates an atmosphere that not everyone is able to succeed in.
I would explain the achievement gap as, in the state of Minnesota, and this differs by district, it differs across the nation, but we have children statistically in certain demographic groups that are on paper more successful in achieving perhaps a higher GPA. We want all students to succeed. We want every student to have the same opportunity to excel and to hopefully choose something outside of post-secondary education to make them successful. I really encourage students to be involved in a part of their education. This is about you. It's about your learning. And if you all have a voice, I know it sounds cliche, but one person can make such positive gains and can cause so much change. Getting personal, it hurts to start uncovering the details behind these gaps. And so until we start to uncover and we start to ask questions at the root of what is contributing to these gaps, you know, we'll still continue to see them. But the fact that we are acknowledging the gaps, it's a start.
I think that students are not as aware of as they need to be, and that's just part of being a high school student. We tend to get pretty self-absorbed as high school students as far as our lives. So if our lives seem pretty good, and we're in clubs and activities that we're enjoying, and we've had success in school, whether that's, I'm looking here, at speech or Students for the Future or in athletics or in choir or orchestra, if we've been successful in high school, we don't always stop and look around and say, maybe there are kids next to me that aren't as successful, and that's going to happen, but am I sure that they're not successful because either they choose not to be in that organization, or maybe it's a talent level that it's not something else. And I think that it's hard to ask high school kids to do that without, again, intentionally teaching them to look for those things.
There's room for talking about diversity and just everything.
But I hope that projects like these will just kind of help create awareness of the fact that that's not okay, and kind of removing that kind of thought would help make East even better than it is today.